one of the greatest hacks of being the greatest negotiator on planet Earth is to have the seller's just going to turn around and send the money back to you. That doesn't make any sense. That is your failure point. You are lacking a story. A Morby method actually is very simple if you think about it this way. Is there something tricky about this transaction I should know beforehand before I go deep diving into what the Morby method is?
It's an agent deal. It's on market. Just kind of everything we're doing with the Elephant Challenge. Nothing's really tricky about it.
Okay, so here's what Morby method is for people that are brand new to our mentorship. I've had multiple videos about this, and I've had actually a couple of deep dives about it. The Morby method is here to solve a major problem for you. Please pay attention to what the Morby method is. I'm about to tell you. So in 45 seconds, when you say, wait, what's the Morby method? I'll say, please go back and rewatch the tape. Okay. The Morby method is here to solve the biggest concern regarding a seller wanting too much down payment. So you go to a seller and you say, hey, are you open to seller finance? Seller's here, here's their house. You have an agent involved because you know what? Sometimes when you're an Astro student, you just can't help yourself. So you go to the agent and you say, hey, I'm a glutton for punishment, so I want to go directly through the agent. Would your seller be open to seller finance? The agent says, yes, especially if you give us a large down payment, because the agent wants what? The agent wants a commission. This typically is a problem because most people that are brand new in this business are this word, broke. Is that a problem? It sure is not. I'm perfectly okay being broke. In fact, I'm broke at the end of every single month. I'm always spending all my money on more real estate. So every time I'm negotiating, in fact, guys, one of the greatest hacks of being the greatest negotiator on planet Earth is to have no money in your pocket. I saw a direct correlation to the best deals I ever did were because I had no money, to some of the questionable deals I did because I had a couple hundo in the bank account. The second I get rid of that money and a deal or a lead comes to me, like, oh, I have no other option but to negotiate a zero down deal. Do yourself a favor, get all that money out of your bank account, go invest it into some other things, okay? That's a great negotiating skill that you guys need to adopt. So when you run into a seller that says, hey, I'm cool with the seller finance situation, but I want this. I want a large down payment. Well, you have three options. One, get better at negotiating. This is why we have the daily dial and the nightly dial with Mr. Key Hano. So get better at negotiating. Okay, well, when that fails, we're going to move on to option 2, the Morby method. Can't get better at negotiating? No problem. Tell the seller that I will give you a large down payment. So the way we treat this is like any other transaction. So let's say that my purchase price, what's your purchase price total?
It is $460,000.
Okay, $460,000. Perfect. So $460,000 purchase. If I'm a regular Joe Schmo, somebody that's buying this deal on the burst strategy, typically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this seller and I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a 30% cash down payment from my pocket, from my cousin, from my neighbor, wherever that money is coming from. Typically, people that are doing the burst strategy are coming in with about 30% down payment. If you tell me you're doing 20% down payment on the burst strategy, I'll punch you in the throat. You're lying. Don't lie to me. So you're going to put 30% down payment, and then you're going to go to a lender for the remaining 70% of that purchase. So out of that 460, you're going to get 30% of it's going to be yours, and 70% of that's going to be a loan. Does everybody understand that that is how a typical cash purchase is done? So this is what we do. We go to the seller and we say, hey, seller, you know this 30% of cash that I basically would have to bring to the table if we did this deal? Instead of I having to bring that 30% cash to the table, what if I just went out and I got this loan and then you seller finance that 30% equity so I didn't have to have 30% cash into the deal? Seller says, damn, son, is Pace Morby your mentor? And you go, yes, sir, he is. And he'll say, I love this. So what you're telling me is you'll give me the 70% as a down payment, and that is going to come from your lender, your loan company. I use a company called myinvestorloan.com. I don't know what lender everybody else uses, but you can use whoever you want. We just use this company. They bring 70% of the purchase. The other 30%, I still have to bring to the table temporarily. So remember, we went up here and this is a regular cash transaction, 460, 30% cash, 70% loan. We are still going to do this exact transaction as if there's no seller finance in the first leg of the transaction. This is leg one of the transaction. It's a cash transaction. It's done. Recording number, paperwork has been issued. Everybody's been paid except this portion of the 30% of the cash actually does not get distributed to the seller. This is where the Morby method comes in. You then open a second transaction and that 30% gets sent back to you. Plus, sometimes I will negotiate a portion of that, the 70% they receive during transaction number one. I will even have them seller finance 40% back. So they'll even take 10% of the money they receive from my lender and they'll seller carry back 40% back to me so I can actually get paid to purchase the deal. A Morby method actually is very simple if you think about it this way. What if I just let the seller receive all the money? And after everything's said and done, the seller sends me a wire directly from the seller to me for 40% of the purchase back to me, and he just creates a note and deed of trust for that 40%, and we attach it in second position against the property. Look at my last episode I did with Logan Manzanares, one of our great leaders in Subto. He's been with us for about a year, just closed a Morby Method deal where he got paid to do the transaction. Guys, we get paid to buy houses in here. It's happening frequently. Most people just need somebody on the phone articulating and telling a story to them. That is your failure point. You are lacking a story. You are lacking a third-party story. Forget about the second leg of the transaction being done at the title company, Stefan. What if the seller just wires the money back to you and you guys create a promissory note and attach it to the property? Do you technically need to go through the title company to do that? No. It's just that you want to go through the title company since you don't actually want the money to go back to them and then have to ask for it to come back to you. So you're having a problem because your title company is like, wait a minute, why did you pay the seller off 100% of the purchase price in the first place if the seller's just going to turn around and send the money back to you? That doesn't make any sense.
And you know what it was, Pace? One of your videos, you mentioned instead of doing a second lien to do it in an operating agreement. And I sent them the wrong video. And then
over confuse them.
Everybody was like, what are we trying to do here? The attorneys were all like, let's shut it down. This isn't happening. And I was like, okay, so we're going to go to my title company, but I think we're on track. And I just want to make sure I understood it. Because the goal, $0 out of pocket, 100K profit. That's the goal.
There you go. So I kind of want to hammer this Morby Method thing home because it is so bloody simple that you guys are overcomplicating it.
That's why I had to test it, Pace, because it was perfect situation, perfect timing. They're like, we need 100 grand to walk away. And I was like, okay, only way to do this, Morby Method.
You guys want me to go through this again, but slower? And you promise to never ask me another Morby Method question in your entire life of what's the Morby Method because I have videos on this? Say, I promise, Pace. I promise I'll never ask another question about the Morby Method because I know you've explained this 85 times. I promise you, the thing that you are misunderstanding is just where the money comes from.